Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel, Reading Ideas. Okay, I've been tagged by Stuart Griffin. Great channel, so go across and have a look at Stuart's channel. The tag is the books and art tag, and this is by Daniela at Uncommon Reader, and it's to celebrate her 1 year on BookTube. But all my answers are my own, so don't blame Stuart, and definitely don't blame Daniela. Okay, so she's picked out, I think, 7 paintings that she likes, and then chosen a book to go along with it. You know, looking at the picture, what it either the feeling that it inspires and then the book that it inspires. Okay, so the first painting is Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar David Friedrich. So the picture should appear somewhere there. And a book that focuses or explores solitude. Now, there's probably a load of Russian classics that do that, but I've not got around to the solitude Russian classics yet. So the book I'm going to pick is Papillon by Henri Charrière. I think that's how you pronounce it. So Papillon is butterfly. He had a butterfly tattoo on his chest, and he was a very naughty boy in France in either the 40s, 50s, I think, something like that. But the police fitted him up for something he didn't do. But he wasn't a nice guy. Anyway, he was packed off to an overseas prison, trying to escape. They made a famous film out of it, and he was in solitary confinement for quite some time. It's a big chunk of the book. So, yes, Papillon. Now, if you want more of a classics one that other people might mention, then of course you could go for Alexander Dumas. What's he called? The Count of Monte Cristo. He was in solitude for a bit, wasn't he? But then he made a pal. So I've gone for this one. Oops. Painting Cherubs by Raphael. So this is a close-up of a section of a Raphael painting. A book with supernatural protagonists. So I've gone for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I love this. It's quite a thin book, but Robert Louis Stevenson, what a writer. Treasure Island, brilliant. Love that. And I'm Justin Kidnapped. So, yeah. But what a book. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 3 Moscow by Kandinsky. A book set in the future, sci-fi or dystopic. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Absolutely brilliant book. Really, really, really good. If you're not into sci-fi and comedy, then, you might not like it. But, yeah, I think it's if you are going to read only 50 books, then this probably should be in there. Yeah, iconic book. Just had a mystery visitor then. So, yeah, great book. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Number 4, painting The Cradle de Bertha Morisot. A book with a special bond between mother and daughter or son. Now I'm going to twist this. I'm going to do a book with a special bond between father and daughter. And might seem a strange choice, but I'm going to pick Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And the special bond is between the father and Elizabeth Bennet. It's a very famous story, and the Bennets have got a little manor house or whatever it is. They've got 5 daughters between them, and they're all going to be kicked out of their home because the estate is entailed to a son, and there is no son, so they're all going to be out on their ear, and it's going to be given away to a cousin. So the father is, let's say his parenting methods is laissez-faire, and again, I don't think too much of a spoiler, the laissez-faire parenting doesn't work on some of the daughters, and it's a bit of a disaster and public shaming. But his, you shouldn't like one child more than another, but it comes good with his laissez-faire method, with how he's brought up Elizabeth. Maybe some of the others. Yeah. Who knows how they turn out. So, yeah, the father and daughter bond in Pride and Prejudice. The Swing by Renoir, a book that reminds you of your childhood. I'm going to pick for this the comic 2000 AD. I used to get this every week. Look forward to that. Judge Dredd. All the other characters slain. The blue GI. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. 2000 AD. I wasn't keen on Torquemada though, however you pronounce that. And where are we? American Gothic by Grant Wood, a book set in a rural area. Now, when I see this picture, it's more. It's not the idea of it being like a rural area. Yeah, it's a strange picture, isn't it? Brings kind of strange emotions. So, but if we're just going on the rural element, Turgenev, Sketches from a Hunter's Album, book of short stories, and some of these short stories in here are absolutely beautiful. How he describes country, none better, none. Yeah, Sketches from a Hunter's Album, Ivan Turgenev. Yeah, absolutely beautiful writing. 7, a self-portrait of Artemisia Gentileschi, a book with a female protagonist ahead of her time, a pioneer. But this is... It made me kind of think of this book. Society's morals go up and down. The book that I'm going to mention, if you think of what was happening in the Roman times, at different times in history, talk about things being pioneers, and most things have been done before, haven't they? So, morals kind of swing up and down. So, you might not believe that, but imagine the morals in the Roman in the Roman court, and then you end up with the Puritans. If you look at different parts of the world, some of those are becoming quite look at Afghanistan. 1 minute ladies can wear short skirts, and then the next minute they can't, and then they can again, and then the next minute they can't. So but what I'm going to pick is we've definitely had a loosening of our morals, haven't we, for right or wrong. And on this upswing or downswing, whichever way you want to talk about it, one of my favourite writers is Ernest Hemingway, and this is a bit different. It was published, one of a couple of books published after his death, so it wasn't quite finished, and definitely he hadn't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, and it's called The Garden of Eden. Now, I don't know, it kind of feels like it's a bit autobiographical, but then, a lot of his work was, but he, obviously twisted stuff around as well. So, yeah, a sensational bestseller when it appeared in 1986. Basically, what happens is it's about a writer, who could that be, who is married to a slightly older lady. Who could that be? Could that be his first wife? And then they meet a rich woman in, I think it's the south of France, Cannes, and she's a bit more modern. And then I would say that they kind of descend into corruption or whatever, because here we go with our modern age. They will say, well, it's not corruption, it's just people living their lives. Basically, it becomes a ménage à trois. He's with the new woman, the new woman's with his wife, and it's the corruption is that they do begin to kind of lose themselves. He does begin to suffer. It begins to affect his writing. So, yeah. So, for our age that's kind of come on in terms of, people can divorce, people have affairs, it's all more public, then this is kind of a bit of an early dawning of that upswing. Yeah. The Garden of Eden. 8. Bonus. What's your favourite painting or art? Create a prompt to match your art with a book title. Probably my favourite painter is Van Gogh. Everybody knows Van Gogh. And he's done some absolutely wonderful ones. The Starry Night, the very bright yellow outside the cafe, the blossom tree. But my favourite is the sunflowers. Unreal sunflowers. And the prompt is somebody who, an artist who has suffered for their art. And I'm going to pick out J.K. Rowling. Now, I think, the abuse that she has taken is unreal. Absolutely unreal. So it might be time to kind of call off the dogs, end the kind of the witch trial business. Yeah? Let's just move on and live our happy lives. Bye for now, everybody.